speaking with Cathryn Clary today, Chief Medical Advisor at Percheron Therapeutics. Cathryn, good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Firstly, Cathryn, just give us a brief overview here of your background before joining Percheron.
Sure. So I've had about 26 years in the pharmaceutical and biotech industries, worked at some great companies. I worked at Pfizer, Novartis, Ipsen in medical affairs and clinical development. And more recently, I was the CMO at Solid Biosciences, which had a gene therapy in the clinic for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. During my career, I have focused on patient engagement in development, as well as a lot of preparing drugs for commercialization and launch.
You mentioned patient engagement, patient advocacy. What's Percheron doing in this area?
Yeah, it's really exciting, I think. First of all, I just want to state that Percheron really believes it's critical to incorporate patient and caregiver perspective into everything that we do to ensure that we are meeting their needs in a meaningful way. So since I've begun, I actually attended the Percheron Dystrophy Project, PPMD, which is a major patient advocacy organization in the US. They had a meeting in Orlando, Florida. During the time that I was there, I actually held a small advisory board with several advisors, got a lot of information about what's going on in the field. And I've also been, utilizing my network of investigators, academics, and patient advocacy groups that I met when I was at Solid. We also are working with the Jet Foundation. We'll be part of World Duchenne Day, which is happening in September, and reaching out to some of the other advocacy groups so that we really are beginning to incorporate that patient perspective into all of our work.
And how about the clinicians who treat DMD? How does a small company such as Percheron get the attention of doctors working in this area?
Yes, yes. Well, I think the thing is, and I really saw this when I was at PPMD, physicians recognize the need for new therapies because Duchenne muscular dystrophy is such a devastating disease. So they're really keen to help companies such as Percheron who are developing new treatments. And there is no treatment that is curative, not even gene therapy. And, the disorder is so inexorably progressive that any treatment that is developed that's different really can add to the treatment paradigm. And I think I mentioned I did run this advisory board with several clinician researchers, got a lot of information about how patients are being treated right now.
There's been a lot of developments in the Duchenne landscape recently, including the first gene therapy approved for the disease. What does this mean for Percheron?
Yes, so Elevidys, which is the Sarepta gene therapy, which just was approved in the United States for both ambulatory and non-ambulatory patients, it received accelerated approval for non-ambulatory patients. We're very pleased that this now is available to patients and that they have access to it because, again, we recognize the severity of the disease. It does remain to be seen with the non-ambulatory patients, and there is no data yet exactly how that will be used. But I want to emphasize, as I said before, gene therapy is not curative. It is a very good treatment, but there does remain a need for other therapies. And in fact, what I did find out when I was in Orlando at PPMD is the treatment paradigm for DMD seems to be changing towards a lot more combination therapy. So both, the combination is across dystrophin restoration therapies, such as gene therapy, exon skipping, corticosteroids, and then other agents in the immunomodulatory area, such as ATL1102, the Percheron compound that's in development, and they can be used together. So we really do see a substantial role for our drug going forward, if our studies turn out positive, of course.
And looking forward, Cathryn, what are the upcoming milestones for the company?
Yeah, well, it's very exciting. So in December, we'll have readout of our phase 2B study. There's 48 patients in that study, and it's comparing 2 doses of ATL1102 versus placebo. So that's very exciting. It is a blinded study, so we don't know anything about the results at this point. We will be then getting additional data in mid-year next year when a number of patients will have completed a year on treatment, and then more data at the end of the year. So lots of different opportunities to really make some decisions about what we want to do next. And depending on how that data looks, we plan to discuss with the FDA how to get ATL1102 available for patients. And there's a lot of different ways that could look. It really is going to depend on the data itself and what it looks like. But we are going to evaluate all of our options. At that time, there could be the potential for accelerated approval if the data is highly positive, or we could continue on to a global registration study. It's all going to be dependent on the data, but it's coming soon, our milestones.
Great to meet you, Cathryn. Thanks for your time.
Okay, thank you.